the, the main thing that stopped it was going to prison. I mean, I'd still be doing it today if I could. Jackie, there were literally sometimes trash bags full of money. I mean, we'd sit in the stash house all fucking day, snorting cocaine, drinking. I got $250,000 for that. Yeah, that adrenaline, man, that really, God, man, it makes your mouth gets dry. My mouth's getting dry just talking about it. Looking back over my life, and I got sentenced. Spent the most of it tongue-tied. 3 years for conspiracy to import and distribute marijuana. Listening to you speak your mind. Now I'm thinking about it. We smuggled more than 200 tons of merchandise. This is Kenny O'Day, and this is my life story. I have lived a pretty good life. I'm not the most honest person in the world. I've got quite a bit of heathen in me. And that being said, I'm still okay. I'm still okay with God. He's okay with me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My childhood left quite a bit to be desired. My father, who I'm still not very fond of, was abusive to my mother, and I didn't like that at all. There's nothing I could do about it other than just hate the guy for being what he was. And he was a common criminal, con man, thief, you know, which I inherited some of his great characteristics. My mother was more the guiding light. She, you know, Edith was the boss. I mean, she was the boss. She stood up to him and for us and for herself. That was everything, my mother. And it was me and my 3 brothers and sisters. We did okay. I mean, we were on welfare. I'm not real proud about it to be on the dole, but you know, if it hadn't been for welfare, we'd have been sleeping under bridges and starving to death because there was nobody else. It was just us, you know, my mother and my brothers and sisters and me. We did have help later in life. Aunt Sally and Uncle Bert come and stayed with us for a while. It was difficult. My mother died when I was 13 years old. That was a bad time. Jealous lover. Guy shot my mother and then shot himself on Christmas Day. What a horrible event to have on Christmas. Well, my brothers and sisters all went into foster care. They bounced around a little bit. I honestly don't know as much about them as I should, but I don't know how I was supposed to. You know, everything was out of my hands. The adults were taking care of it. I went with my Aunt Mary to Pennsylvania, who was a single mother with her own 6 children, and she took me. When I kind of got swapped around, everybody helped take care of me. You know, my grandparents, my aunt, my great aunt Queen. Some of this is hard. I wanted to try not to do this. But I've been blue ever since this daggone surgery. It's been working on me. So we all did the best we could do. You know, my brothers and sisters got lucky. They got hooked up with some great families. This is the hard part, Jack. "72-year-old crybaby." We knew it was coming, but and a snot rag. Snot rag. When I left Pennsylvania, that was, I came to live with the foster family in McLean. And it was really an insignificant event in my life, but it turned out to be a real major one at some point, because had things not happened the way they did, I would not have met my wife, who we all, as kids, we all hung out at the McDonald's in McLean. That was where we hung. That's where you went to meet girls, and girls went to meet guys, and you know, everybody knows how that works. And I proposed to my wife. We were parked, illegally parked behind McLean Service Center, necking, making out, whatever you want to call that. And we talked about marriage. And I think it was more me than her that was interested in the marriage, but I'm really happy she went along with it. Well, we went together for about 6 months. I know I needed family because I didn't have any. I was on my own. You know, my brothers and sisters were fostered out after my mother died, so I didn't really have any family other than Pam. And I was happy to have that. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad I found Pam. It's truly, I could probably say it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, really. You know, I've been pretty lucky there.
The old Shenandoah gonna keep me right and hold me like I was.
Hi, I'm Pam O'Day. I'm Kenny's wife.
Take me down and let the beechwood light.
He's very quiet, caring. He does things for people. He does have a temper.
Give me time.
He does get angry every now and then. He's a good guy, though. He's a good guy. I wouldn't trade him.
I'm Kenny.
I'm Pam.
We're the O'Days. I can't imagine my life without Pam.
Aw.
We've been through a lot of tough times, but we've had a lot of good times too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one of the most memorable ones was going to the Bahamas for a Christmas adventure. And we got so bored with being at the Bahamas that we flew back to Key West just to get off the island.
To when we went to another island. to
Well,
go-
yeah. Well, we had to go back and score some drugs. So.
No, we had friends there. And then,
And who stuck the cocaine in her toe of her shoe and took it back to the Bahamas with us?
stop.
Yeah, we were both kind of heathens then.
Love you, honey.
Yeah, I do love you.
I love you too.
That's a loose. I don't use that term loosely.
No. And I didn't want a wedding. I didn't want to go through all that. So that's why we eloped, basically.
We got married in the sheriff's office by the justice of peace, and had 2 deputies for witnesses. And we had a room at the No-Tell Motel. And for our wedding dinner, we had a 6-pack of Budweiser on ice in the sink and carry out from Dairy Queen. Big time. You know, I think I had $12 in the bank. My house payments were $222 a month. And I used to get up in the middle of the night and go out and sit in the living room and smoke cigarettes and wondering, man, how are we going to make these payments? You know, Pam's making $50 a week. I'm making $90 a week. But we did it. And I swear to Christ, I don't know how we did it. I knew that we were never going to move. This was, you know, people want to say this is my forever house. Well, the day we moved in there, I knew it was my forever house. I never wanted to move anywhere else. I never needed to be anywhere else. I was happy to have a house of my own.
Did it myself to keep good faith.
Yeah, I used to be in the gun business. I had a little gun shop and I sold guns and ammunition and such. I just have always liked guns. You know, it's a guy thing. And I used to like buying and selling and trading, and I ended up progressing to the point to where I had a federal firearms license, which is really the prerequisite to what you need to be in the gun business. I bought and sold and traded, and because I traveled around quite a bit, whenever I went to another town or another state or something, I'd always look for gun shops and go in and see what I could find on the shelf that I could buy and take it home and sell it the next weekend at the gun show and make $50, you know. I started out, I smuggled guns into South America. That's how I got started. The money got me hooked. And a guy that I traveled with had been working out west. He'd been working out in Denver. And I'd been out there, and I went out there and worked with him. Well, we worked out there, and Doug, his name was Dougie. Dougie says, man, you know, we can get a job in Alaska. He says, if you want to go, he says, it's going to cost some money. So I said, well, shit, we ain't got nothing to lose. You know, what's spending a few more money? So I just like put my airline ticket on a credit card, grabbed a handful of airplane out of Dulles and flew to Anchorage. I mean, that was back in 1977. I crossed the Arctic Circle, March 17th, 1977. And I never looked back. I mean, I got hooked on the money. I was netting over $1,200 take home, over $1,200 a month, a week. In 1977, I think I made over $55,000. I sold a lot of marijuana and coke when I was there. And that added to my income. I mean, I had so much money, I used to have to lock it up in my toolbox because I couldn't carry it in my pocket anymore. I mean, you know, I just would have stacks of money. When I came home on R&R, I brought my toolbox with me, but I left my tools there. And I filled the toolbox up with dope, took it back to Alaska with me. I know I went through 2 pounds of pot in 2 days, which was pretty significant, I thought. And cocaine's kind of a downfall. That's easy enough to start liking, and you start doing your own product, and that's where people get in trouble. Guys, the business agent's name was Cadillac Jack. He was a character, man. 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. That's what I want to hear. So I did everything. I worked as a helper. I moved material from one place to another. They gave me a crew. I had a crew of 10 guys, I think. I was in it pretty deep. You know, if I wasn't offloading an airplane or offloading a boat or something, I was, going by a stash house or count money, dump a bag of money on the bed, you know. Single rubber bands were thousands and double rubber bands were 5,000. There's no honor among thieves, so to speak. Everybody counted the money. Jackie, there were literally sometimes trash bags full of money. I mean, you know, we'd sit in the stash house all fucking day and count money, snorting cocaine, drinking, counting. How much was that now? Was that 100 or 200? Were those 50s or 20s? Oh, God, that was a boring job. The only time I really liked counting it is when I got paid. When I got back home from Alaska, I worked around insulating with my tools, you know, for a couple years. I've had friends that had sold pot since, you know, the beginning of the 60s. So I grew up with a lot of the people around McLean that were pot sellers, you know, and I knew them and they knew me. And one of the people that I hung around with, he was selling pot. And when he came back from Vietnam, he still was selling pot. And he started to do some importing and distributing on his own. And I kind of went to work with him as a truck driver, offloader, sailor. I started smuggling guns. I must have been fucking crazy, because smuggling guns into South America, no American, they kill you for that stuff. And I smuggled a little coke myself. It was a pretty ballsy move, pretty terrifying. I knew I wasn't going to get caught, but I was scared to death that I was going to get caught. I only did that once.
I get high 'cause I want to. I get low every day.
I had some friends in Colombia. You know, everybody's got friends, everybody's got a connection. They talk about the cartels. I never met anybody in a cartel, but I guarantee you the people I was working for did, or they would have never got the merchandise. It was easier to get 17,000 pounds of pot than it was to smuggle a pound of coke to me. I thought there was a whole lot less pressure. A lot of adventures going back and forth to Colombia. Some of the more crazier times were right here, though.
Blues away.
down the coast of Africa, and you come down and hit the, get below the Sargasso Sea and come up the east coast of North America and South America, and proceeded from there to the low country of South Carolina, where we offloaded this 25,000 pounds of hash. And I broke my hand smacking the captain, which is something you're not supposed to do. You know, yes, I have a bad temper, so, you know, I about knocked his eye out. I did knock his eye out. It was literally hanging out of his face. I mean, I hit him so hard. I hit him so hard that that knuckle is still way back here on my hand. You know, I broke it. But we got the deal done. And it was a great payday, big payday, you know. Yeah, that was a lot of money, you know, bags full. I loved it. That was crazy working down there. I kept thinking the whole time, I said, yeah, man, we're in the shadow of the United States Capitol and we're offloading a boatload of marijuana. And this was the second time, you know, and I just said, we're just dying to get caught.
My mind was running through the woods instead. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane.
The main thing that stopped it was going to prison. I mean, I'd still be doing it today if I could. But we had subsequently been indicted in a RICO conspiracy. The long and short of it is that some of the people I worked with, the principals that I worked with, I mean, they ratted on themselves. They ratted on everybody else. They ratted us out. When the indictments came down, it just all fell apart. Really, it was. You know, I went, I had my day in court, and I got sentenced to 3 years for conspiracy to import and distribute marijuana, hashish, which, and allegedly, and I still say allegedly because I'm quoting the government statistics, we smuggled more than 200 tons of merchandise. I earned every penny of it. It was a tough job, man. Kenny O'Day, this is part of my life story. I'm not getting enough emphasis on the this. This is my life story.